Okay. In the park meeting, January 9th, 2024 meeting to order. Okay. In the park meeting, January 9th.
Everybody online? No, we don't. I forgot to meet.
We probably need to go ahead and add to the agenda,
Okay, we need to add to the agenda the election for a chairman.
I like the motion.
okay.
A second. This is just to add to the agenda.
This is just to add to the agenda.
Oh, I thought you made a motion. We ready to vote?
That'll be in the new business.
That's in
Oh,
the
we have to
not there
wait.
yet.
Director's report.
Director's report, okay, so we've added to, just now, third thing on new business is election. So great news with the, first time since I've been parks director, the roof on the aquatic center is fully operational.
Yay! That's a
Fully operational, yes.
The pool pack, so we don't have to talk about it anymore.
Yes.
We don't have to talk about the pool pack anymore?
We do still talk about full pack.
But roof is operational.
But that is going, it's gonna make a huge difference in the summertime, being able to open all those panels. And, they were able to do some other things, smaller things they noticed, fix some doors and some other things they got here. But yeah, that's been, 2 years we've been working on that and waiting on that to get done, so, yeah. I know, Kristen and her staff are very excited about that. Basketball is up and running and rolling. Yes, hard to find a place to park. We've got, Eric Bishop, we're playing at the middle school, and then, Davis.
Hurricane.
Hurricane, sorry. I don't know why I said that.
The junior high.
Yes,
Practice,
yeah.
practice at the junior high.
And so we have to say that every year, thank you so much to Bryan School District. We could not have this league. The numbers are just too much for just our facility. So, one for the school district, partnering with us for gym space. Keith, do you want to have say anything about the basketball? I'm sorry, Lance.
No, well, I just wanted to be, for the numbers, the enrollment of play.
Yeah, go.
Yeah, I can, so we, our numbers are down, however, we had to turn away, unfortunately, this year, for the first time, we had to turn away a lot of kids because the numbers are down for limited, but we're limited on space. Where there was an elementary school this year that had decided they no longer wanted to partner with us and allow us to use their space, and so, that hurt, and yes, Chris is absolutely right. Like, we're of the schools, and the middle school came in at the last minute and opened their doors up for us to have games there. Before that, we were essentially looking at games maybe having to be on Sundays now, or Friday nights. I mean, and so it's you know, we went from, before COVID, about 500 was the most we ever had, to the last 2 years, we were up above 700. We were looking at, probably being above 800 this year, and we eventually had, and I think we unfortunately probably had to tell over 100 kids that, it ended up being we always take late registrations, and people kind of know that, but this year, it just being like, sorry, even if I wanted to take you, we don't have the space to do it. So, it's gonna be some tough decisions, because it's just getting bigger, you know, and so, and one of the things with the school is nothing that, the remodel and the new arena and all that is beautiful and great, but we don't use the arena for obvious reasons for our league, and when they tore down building 20, 21, it's like those old gyms, those old gyms were very helpful for us, so it put a lot more pressure on the elementary schools, and unfortunately for them, they use their gyms for a lot of other things too. Archery's become big with the, and I think that's one thing that's hurt us with elementary gyms is that they're now starting archery programs, and so, you know, that's kind of what we've heard. It's not necessarily they're like, oh, well, we don't want to help you, or we don't really, it's that we have an archery program that we're running, and so, you know, so yeah, so technically the numbers are down, but they, unfortunately, we had to do that due to gym space. Yeah, we're maxed out on space. I mean, when I started here, everybody got 2 practices a week. Now it's 1 practice a week, and that's because we don't have any other space to give a second practice. We also didn't use our gym was open during the week for members to still come, and now Monday through Friday it's full of basketball practice every night. You know, so we're just growing pains. That's right. So
Good problem to have.
It's you know, you have the interest just with that.
oh yeah, there's a lot of interest. Yes, sir.
So we've got a space problem this year. What do next year to address that?
You know,
Maybe free up some space.
Yeah, we've, I mean, I think that we've probably called all the favors we can with the schools at this point. I think that there are options. You know, we've talked about maybe with the youngest leagues, maybe kindergarten or first grade, we have to try to move that to another time. But unfortunately, you run into baseball, you run into softball, you run into soccer, you know, so it's just, there's been other options like that we've talked about, of like, well, maybe some of the ages we look at doing a summer league with them rather than a winter league, you know.
That's what I suggest. I know it's harder on the staff, and we'd have to come up with something on that. But could we do a spring, summer league, or start earlier in the winter? And then, I know it's hard on Ebony and them, bless their heart, because Ebony was here Saturday, 7 o'clock in the morning, and then me and my boy came at the end and watched the game, and it was 6 o'clock. And they were still cleaning, they were still cleaning and picking up afterwards.
Yeah.
So I know it's hard on them, and they need to be compensated somehow on it, but I think that maybe we look into.
Those are things we discussed. We, myself and Ebony, I mean, we started talking about that at the end of last year. We knew it was gonna run into, you know, and so, you know, we made the decision, hey, let's go into it this year, let's make it, and we did not turn anyone away during the registration date. It's just those that come in after. We didn't accept any late registrations this year, but we know that this is coming, and so that's one thing we talked about, maybe with kindergarten. You know, I mean, that's a little thing, but like maybe with that you look at something different. Maybe we don't do an 8-week league that looks exactly like the other ones. Maybe we do like a 4-week thing in December that's more, or like between Thanksgiving and Christmas, that's more skills and drills, and you rotate. I mean, I think that we definitely, if we have to make an adjustment, I think you have to start with the bottom. Like, what grade is yours? I know Cody, you're 3rd. Like, I don't want us to ever make a change with 4th grade or do away with it, and then you're going, we played in the league for 3 years and that. But if you're gonna do something, I think you have to start with.
And I do think, like I said, starting with the kindergartners and first graders, because I've been there, Jack's been there, it's a handful with kindergarten or first graders. And that's it's fun, it's a blast, but we could condense that, and maybe they could be Thanksgiving to Christmas, have a couple games.
And I think that we've known it was coming, and it's probably something that I would like to discuss in this forum, because I mean, it's hard for Ebony, and I get it,
it's bad.
cause she's there and she knows everybody, and it's like, well, those people, those kindergartners, they love that, like, it's so much, we can't take their, so like, for her, it's fighting tooth and nail to hold on to everything we have, and not make adjustments to those things or cut something out, and so it's one of those that, you know, there's gonna be hard decisions that are gonna have to be made, 'cause no more gyms are getting built anytime soon,
Right.
so.
Back when I was coaching, we only used practice if there were churches. It'd be hard to coordinate that, I think.
I don't know
Like
what,
First Methodist, I don't know what church there anymore.
We did Indian Springs at one time.
But it, well, it-
Well,
A lot
But
of
I don't
them
think
are
the city
Our
used
church-
it was upward.
yeah, they used to do they still do Upward? Okay.
They
Yeah,
do, but I don't think they have fun,
Well, we don't have a, we did soccer and football, we did stuff at Raymar. But
Yeah.
Indian Springs was the one that did.
Big
Oh.
Open.
Yeah.
I've never
Indian
mind.
Springs, so when they redid our,
I think maybe
they redid
I talked to
the
somebody,
the contemporary worship. and
their
then
court's
they-
more multi-purpose now, like it wasn't going to be, maybe Clark or something like that. So, it's,
Some of them, that's one way, but I think they have some other teams, some A teams.
well, and that's one of the things, and we reached out to try to discuss, like, that's where gyms are being built, there, you know, and at the time, they had said that, they're considering running their own league, and if Summerwood runs their own league, then it probably takes some pressure off, you know, I mean,
They're just
we had,
for profit.
yes, and we had, well, because we had reached out about if there's a way to partnership on some gym space, you know, and basically they said, like, early on, you can pay the rental rate that anyone else will pay, and
Well, I
and
think they're running
so,
volleyball.
we just can't afford.
But they're also running volleyball, because I know some things they're practicing volleyball there.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a volleyball, those facilities, it's gonna be joint use, and I know the Eckerd volleyball, that, you know, that's gonna be right there as well, and so, but,
Yeah, I did that, though, really, if you think about it, you know, do fall, you do a fall session one, fall session two, something like that.
which it is tough, because we run our volleyball right before, so we have to find a window after our volleyball league before, but, I mean,
And I will say, Thanksgiving and Christmas is very busy,
Yeah.
with young families like that, with kindergarten and first grade.
Yeah.
I mean, you got all the Christmas parties and stuff going.
so, it may be, you know, I mean, but that's something, like I said, I would prefer this to be something that is discussed next year, I think, because it's something, if another entity, if Summerwood that was to run there, we may see that, okay, that alleviated some pressure here, and so now there's, you know, maybe becomes more the competitive type kids, you know, that go play there,
Or maybe the older ones.
yeah, or maybe the older ones or some, you know, so there could be ways to utilize that and take some pressure off. But if not, I do think that there's gonna have to be some hard decisions, and so that's something that I would, you know, especially some of you that coached in it or involved in it or been part of it before, I mean, you know.
I think Darwin makes some hard decisions. You have to turn.
What, do you know is this all Bryant kids or?
No, it's we definitely take kids from, we don't, we don't,
Yeah.
and that is,
I mean, that might be something,
and that's something that's been discussed. Now,
the Bryant kids, just a,
well, are we saying Bryant School District or
no,
Bryant?
not at Bryant School District.
That becomes very difficult when you, because like our system's gonna base on your zip code.
Right.
Well,
But-
no, well, I mean, but find out what school, because I do know of some big kids that are playing here.
Yeah. Oh, we have,
Because-
Little Rock, too.
yeah, I mean,
Oh, really? Well, see,
We
and
know, I
then-
coach, I had kids.
Yeah, but you gotta look at that also, they have Bryant people that go.
Oh,
They do,
well,
they
yeah.
do, they do.
Well, you can't, but when you're gonna take it, you know,
Well,
put
but
the Bryant kids first. I
But
mean,
here's what you're gonna run into there, you're also gonna have school choice kids. So,
Oh.
gonna have Little Rock kids kind of.
That's true.
so those have
But
been,
if they go to school here, that'd be different. I mean,
But they're still, they would still have Little Rock address, is what I'm saying.
so,
oh, yeah.
that has been discussed. I mean, that's one of the
If
things.
they
we're
go,
talking-
yeah.
But I will-
Like if they go to school here,
Right.
And that's not uncommon.
get a letter saying they go to school here, maybe or
Right.
something.
That's what, I mean, you get 800 kids of,
Yeah,
you
that's
get
true.
but anyway,
Yeah, I guess
that's
that's
it, but I mean, it's that's a discussion. There are parks department teams that, I mean, there are parks departments that they treat residents different than non-residents. We have never operated that way. I think a big reason we don't operate that way is because of the school district, city limit thing. I mean, it is difficult with that, to consider that. Now, one of the things that I think that could be discussed if we went that route is talking with, is a partnership with the elementary schools, like not just a gym space partnership, but like literally an assisting of, we're going to work together in running this league. So the teams are more geared towards their elementary school rather than us just drafting them, you know. And then the school would be involved. They know exactly, okay, these are our kids that are gonna play in your league.
Kind of like
school
partnering with them for an intramural program almost.
It'll be like intramural.
Years ago, there was I believe, sixth grade, we did intramural in school, and then it kind of started.
Yeah.
They switched to the city.
They don't think that.
And you
So how many
said
courts
sixth
do we
grade
need?
intramural years ago.
To just complete, like, say, we're gonna just know that we can continue to allow anyone in and grow, or?
Well, I'm sitting here looking at different parts of this, and I've heard different pieces. We think that, maybe one way we may have to cut back would be the little ones. I think is a mistake. We've talked about maybe some churches. Churches might be available and be willing to allow us to use them. And that may be where we take the little kids. And the reason I was asking, how many courts do you need? I go to Indian Springs, we've got pretty good open area there. I don't know what the philosophy is there, I can't speak for them. But maybe if we figure out how many courts do we need, and how many kids do we have, and what could we do on a Saturday? Moving the, I don't know, was it 5, 6-year-olds, what's this?
Kindergarten,
Kindergarten. You know, 5, 6, and 7, or something like that, we're gonna do this, maybe we have 2 children. Because what they're learning there, I mean, it is fun to watch, it's not particularly, organized, they don't need a full court at that point. So maybe we just need to take a look at what options, and then if they're not there, they're not there. But that's what I would suggest, we start thinking about this problem in terms of next year. Because you can't show up in December and say, we got a problem with it. Let's talk it through and let them come see some of the kids playing this year, and they're all about building kids ministries too, so.
Well, and then also, I think, looking at resident kids, I mean, that would be, to me, I think, instead of cutting out your K-1, look at it more as a resident.
But
And something, I don't know what, and I don't know where you would draw your lines on your residency.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
like
I think
Hurricane
that's-
Lake is all right, it's hard, because our district is large.
Yeah. I think that's where it has become difficult for us when we, at least, and I wouldn't, because like I said, we don't do that with anything. I mean, there's park farms that have a resident rate, not a resident rate for everything. But for us, we have never done that. I think a big reason for that was the school district drawing that, but,
We have limited school choice numbers, I mean, there's caps on that, so, I mean, it's kind of, we defer to the residents first, and then you gotta, what you pay for.
But I think ideally, yes, finding more gyms and the ability to accommodate was what we would prefer. And so anyone that has a, church input, I know that, and I can't remember the church I spoke to now, but I know I talked with one church that they had conflicts and like their gym was a multi-purpose space and it, it just wasn't gonna work for that, but I can't speak to who that was. You know what I mean? So, I think anybody that has some context, stuff like that, that'd be, good, because I don't think there's a good answer to having to limit it. And because my issue with the residency thing would be that, one, the school, but also we talk all the time about, we host all these events here to bring people in from somewhere else, to bring business to Bryant. So are we not wanting Little Rock people to come play in our league because they're bringing,
Or Benton kids.
and Benton kids or where, yeah, so, because we're bringing business to Bryant, and we are funded by sales tax,
Right.
not by, so I do think to some extent we're, kind of conflicting there.
Speak to the critic of the league, because I remember when with those of them not there.
No, Leslie does a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Definitely grown.
Right.
She's done a phenomenal job. And we do have people that are coming from other communities to come play in our league, and so, I mean, that's a,
We could come back with just
Yeah.
maybe some scenarios.
Mhm.
Do some research, find out what's available, how much gym space available, what were expectations as far as numbers. Just say, all right, here's several scenarios that we could look at for next year, and we'd love to have your feedback.
I just would suggest we start that before
yeah,
the fall.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it needs to
Start
be.
reaching out, let's figure out how many courts we
Well,
need,
that,
and how many are available, and who we would move,
Yeah.
and then say, this is what we wanna try to do, and then
Yeah.
set out.
I think, we'll start that now.
So I think we started in March when the season's over with.
Well, I'm just talking about, I'm talking about some of the information gathering. And so that we can bring that back to you guys soon, and we can start the conversation. I got no changes this year.
Been on the court lately, are they holding up pretty good though?
we just had them repaired, and they just got fixed at Christmas, so, fingers crossed, and they're working on the gutters and the drainage in the back. I mean, before Ted left, that was, I think, the final verdict, was that the drainage behind the building wasn't suitable enough, there was just too much water.
That one was causing the.
That's, so there,
We hope that's correct.
yes,
So
that was the best,
The water, get the water away from the building faster.
What happened was the water was coming down and hit the curb. The first house was there.
Yeah.
Also,
And the road.
I would like to, give a thanks and a shout out to Middleton
Yeah.
for sponsoring the kids' uniforms and shorts
That's who does that.
this year. And I know Saturday, there's a lot of compliments on what the kids look like. And I know it put a smile on all the kids' faces, having full-blown uniforms this year.
Yeah.
So I wanna thank Middleton for doing that.
I remember the day of the reversal.
Yeah, there's some more of that.
Yeah, I came to work out the other night, they were passing up jerseys, I'm like, hey, you did
Yeah.
That's all.
The backstop netting, A complex, if you don't remember, the A complex backstop netting held up another, Keith, 4 years? We replaced all the backstops in the park
probably 5 years.
4 or 5 years ago. Complex held up longer and finally, started to show some need repair. So they'll be up, this week ready to go for season. February is when, fields are open and we're gonna get really busy. And then, the only other update was the, Keith was talking about with the new fair at the center. I don't think there's any other, one other thing I just, wanted just to know about the pool pack, that was a conversation. We need it in the wintertime, and it's working right now. We've had to spend money to keep it working. We did get a rough estimate of what it would cost to replace it, $1.4 million. But if you'll remember, we have hired Batson Engineering to do a study on the facility, kind of overall look at it and come back with some recommendations on what we might change, things we could do that would affect how big of a pullback we need, that sort of thing. So they said that'll be done in March. So at this point, we just want to get through this winter with pullback and then get that study. We'll bring that to you with a whole lot of information, and we what we want to move forward. That So we're just keeping it running right now until we can get more information and come up with a plan.
I have a question. Last year, you recall when they started practicing baseball,
Yeah.
on the weekends, I got approached, by at least 3 people, which of course sounds like a landslide.
Yes.
But they're very interested in getting those restrooms open on weekends. And they just, as I recall, last year, we had this discussion, you said, well, you didn't know they were gonna practice. And so there wasn't anybody out there, to open up the restrooms. Is there a way we can communicate with these teams and say, if you're gonna be out there, just slip an email, we'll make sure that, just text or something, that we'll have those restrooms open?
The,
Part of it because of the
well,
winter,
the problem is the water is not on in the restrooms until the freezing weather
it has,
is.
that's what,
That-
it was something
So
about
like, it's
the
not,
freezing.
it wouldn't just be unlocking them, the water is turned off on all of them.
So you're saying that during those times when the temperature's above, like in the 40s, that we
Well,
still can't have the water on?
Well, it would just be like at night if it's going to get too low. I mean, if the temperature, we turn the water back on once the temps have risen to where they're going to stay above freezing, yes. So, I mean, that's what we've always told the organizations is, once we've gotten out of the freezing temperatures, when you look at the forecast and you're like, okay, and not really, I mean, if it's 31 or 32, we're not, you know, but once we've gotten out of the,
Practicing when it's that cold.
yeah, I think the issue becomes like there may be a nice day, and they're like, oh, it's 50 today, we're gonna practice, but then 2 days later, it may be 24, and so we don't wanna turn the water on and then be having to winterize and unwinterize. We don't wanna go back and forth on it.
Yeah, there's kind of like an official date, right, where they start practice and we get a schedule and everything's coordinated. And then there's unofficial practices. Coaches will show up out here with the team, which is fine. But we may not know that they're.
But they,
Does that
I
make
mean,
sense?
and we get it, it's not just I mean, baseball's probably who has taught you, but I mean, you know, we get it from softball, soccer, I mean, there's nowhere out at Midland, you know. I mean, any of them that have reached out, I've said, you know, for a lot of the baseball, they can come over to the center, to the pool and use the bathroom there. I know it's a little bit further away, but, I mean, it would become, and it does become a little bit of a difficult if we start turning the water on, unwinterized, and then having to close it back if we get another cold.
How big of a project is that?
For all of them,
I'm just saying, so
yeah.
they don't have to walk all the way around.
yeah.
Or.
It probably wouldn't be as big of a deal if we were just doing it for one, but I do think if we do it for baseball, we have to do it for softball and soccer. So, I mean, you know, you're going and doing it at all of them.
Few hours
It's,
each time.
it's a day to do all of them each time probably. And I'm not a plumber, so I don't know if that's bad for it or not. I
Have
can't.
we looked at maybe putting heat in the restrooms?
We haven't. I know, I can tell you the new ones have heat in them.
Yeah.
The new restrooms that we've built all do have heat. I mean, that's something we could get a quote and see what it'd be like.
I mean, I think to go off, and I think it's reasonable day and age now that, I agree with you, I've done that my whole life, career on it. The freezing pipes would be a nightmare, something else in there. But I think this day and age, we shouldn't have to sit there and winterize. So if we could put heat in the restrooms. I mean, I don't think you're talking much, electric heater, you just gotta keep it above 31, 32 degrees in that room right there.
You can put a splitter in there for $700.
Yeah.
We'll look into that.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, we just never,
You know,
where do we get in our routine of,
Right.
the part where we just called in a favor from about that thing.
we'll look into that.
Yeah.
Good call.
Absolutely.
And then we wouldn't have that problem anymore. Stay open.
Only thing is,
Well, we
They're
could,
sleeping down there.
but there's a difference, we could still lock.
You can lock it then, though, you don't have to worry about
Yeah,
the pipes and everything, you can come by, somebody can swing by and unlock it,
yeah.
and
I mean,
then lock it
that's
back.
I think that's what Richard was kind of asking for. Here, can we have somebody unlock it? We could then do that, and it wouldn't be the process of turning the water on again.
Well, and I think that, you know, when Chris and I had this discussion last year, and it made perfect sense. The teams just didn't let them know they were gonna happen. And it falls on them to let them know, and then you do what you can. But they just didn't understand why they had to go all the way around, well, they didn't tell them you were gonna be.
Yeah, yeah. And that's, like I said, it's fine, because they wanna get it, you know, as soon as it starts to get nice. We want them out here, but then there's us coordinating with the BAA with a larger schedule, which that in our mind is, now it's started, you know, so, but that's a good idea. I think we'll look into heat and restaurants.
And, you know, we may find that we can't do it, but I'd like to just see what the options are. If it's too cost prohibitive, I get that.
I mean, how many are we looking at? There's one in the softball,
Well,
two in baseball, or two restrooms in baseball?
you'd have, I mean, men's and women's on
Right, but I'm talking about just joined together. So you have one men, women's bathroom, softball,
baseball,
and then you have one or two,
just one.
so you're just looking at,
And then
and
soccer.
then soccer.
And then middle.
Yeah, that's why I was talking about three.
Yeah,
So you're looking at 3 units, I mean,
yeah. And I don't know if it was one unit heat the entire building.
yeah, you're just looking at going off, making it, you just want it above freezing.
Yeah.
So, and then,
They'll heat a lot, they'll heat this building.
and then you're going off and you're saving money in the long run by not having to have somebody go winterize and unwinterize and go all year.
Yeah.
I think it'll pay for itself in the long run.
There you go. Good idea. That's what this is
So
all
now for the
about.
kids, there ain't nothing worse than a kid gotta go to the restroom,
That's right.
and you have to load up and leave because they gotta go, or mamas, and that's where you hear it the worst. Kids, you can just open up the door beside the vehicle, and
Yeah.
mamas,
No, I'm getting this.
I agree with Richard on that.
I just drop off and go around there.
All right, so any questions for me on the director's report? Got good stuff here. We're gonna come back to you with some, recommendations on these things, and, be helpful conversation.
Any public comment? Okay, any old business?
I don't even remember those, it's from previous times.
We just passed it, been a whole back and, bathroom, ready to go.
Okay, new business, Coral Ridge Farm.
So this is a piece of property, north of the interstate, if we're back to your agenda there, you can see that, off of North Lake Road. Jeremiah Altman is the developer, is offering to get this to the Parks Department for a small pocket park. It's not, suitable for a house to be there. A good piece of property, it's not, like some of the property we've been offered before.
It's not
Not
flooding?
usable, no.
Okay.
I believe it's got sewer, so down the road, there should be a restroom. You know, we need parks north of the interstate, and, pocket parks, as we've seen in Spring Hill, are popular. There's a, neighborhood across the street from this neighborhood, it's pretty big, you know, so I think you could see folks from other neighborhoods coming to a nice little playground here, maybe a pavilion and a restroom. I do think it's a very good strategy for growth of the Parks Department north of the interstate, would be small pocket parks where, you know, the land north of the interstate is some of the land here Like our 40 acres in Midland, is an excellent example. It's great land for a park because you can't build a lot on it. So trails and green space is perfect. It's not going to be developed. So north of the interstate, where we're seeing a lot more residential and as more stuff gets bought and developed, I don't see a whole lot of acreage that's gonna be available. I do think this is a strategy. It's also in the city ordinances as developers develop, neighborhoods that they have to create some green space there, but I expect most of the time it's gonna be, the Parks Department. Again, isn't bad. We've looked into the mowing costs, and if we would probably need to go ahead and sod down. Because it's kind of barren, we want to sod, make it nice and green. We can have a plan for it. What was that truck, Keith, you remember the cost on it?
I think sod was gonna be about 4,000. That's with us doing the work, but with, and then, assuming that we do have green space that is growing there, a mowing contract on that would be about 2,000 a year.
And I think we also would be responsible for $400 a year on bond.
What about taxes on it?
That was the only thing I was told, was
I'm sure there'll be taxes on it, right? Tax per year. Right, but we don't know what taxes will be.
No.
Because I think that was some of the.
Does that come out of, it comes out of your budget?
Because that was some of the conversation in the email back and forth back.
Yeah.
When they were asking for questions about it, can the park department support it?
What's the acreage of it?
It's a third of an acre. So,
Just
yeah, I mean, it's small. So comparatively, it is smaller than any of the other. The smallest park we currently have is Spring Hill.
Right.
And Spring Hill is half of an acre. It is smaller than Spring Hill. There is.
we do have the land,
The
we do
fire
have the land behind the fire station.
What about school?
The city already has.
We've got, yeah. So, correct.
Me just thinking things out. I don't mind this, but my way of thinking is, I guess this is a dead end road, this Coral Ridge Drive. Is it a dead end road?
It loops around, but it does eventually dead end, I believe. But it goes past this, though. This is not the end of the road.
So at 0.33 acres, third of an acre, you're not really gonna be able to build parking spots anywhere on that. So,
Correct.
they're gonna have to park in all these people's front yards,
for the walk.
or they're walking to go to that park.
We do pay for
Just really, just that neighborhood can use the park.
I think anyone that were driving there would probably park, maybe not in front of the front, but like on the road on this property. But I mean, you could hold 4 or 5 cars there, and then if you got more than that,
What's on the other side of this property? It kind of looks like a triangle, the top point, what's on the other side there?
The road.
What's right here?
that's a field, that's a pasture. That's not part of this
Oh,
development.
that's the back, okay.
I don't think it's in the city either. That pasture's not in the city.
I don't know if
There's
there's
cows out
gonna be
there.
a bill of assurance in this neighborhood that is parking allowed on street.
That's another.
Good question.
I
How
do,
much did we come up with it would cost to maintain this a year upfront?
2,000 is just grass.
It was great. Now, right now, it's just dirt.
Right now it'd be 0, or,
Right, there's nothing to mow there now, but.
We're gonna have to keep it up
Yeah, we
in the
didn't,
neighborhood.
yeah, we didn't want it to just look terrible if this neighborhood developed.
Well, I guess where I'm going is, if we're regressing here, but a couple $1,000 a year, is that what we're talking about? How much did you say it cost to winterize a bathroom?
oh, wait, you mean to.
You're talking about putting it in.
Well, I'm just saying, we threw out the numbers earlier on what it costs to winterize these bathrooms, so we wouldn't have to worry about fights. And we got hundreds of people out here that may wanna, if we got money to do that over there, and we have money to do both, but I think that kinda sounds to me like we have the resources to do what needs to be done out here.
I think we need to take care of what we have before we add to more.
I tend to agree with that. I'm not against having this in our portfolio.
Sure.
What makes it, is it the size that makes it unbuildable for the developer?
So, in the shape, they've got they gotta put a sidewalk, all of the code.
There's no flood issues or anything like
No.
that that would be a problem?
No, I mean, it is, yeah, other than the size and the shape of it,
Okay,
it's good land, it just, you can see kind of how a house
Yeah.
just wouldn't fit
yeah.
there.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I guess they could get,
You could almost put a house there.
but they can't, but it's something about the code as far as how far the house has to be off the road,
Setbacks and all that.
yeah.
Look, yeah,
So why don't we?
it's completely up to you
I
guys.
mean, you hate to not take $3 million.
But if it's.
But I also hate
so
to
much
take-
money,
I also hate to take from the taxpayers that we're gonna add this to our stuff. But like Richard said, we're not gonna open the bathrooms and winterize and everything in the bathrooms,
I also like what
and
you said about, it's a neighborhood thing, so why not the neighborhood?
right, that was my
Take
first
care of
thing.
it. That's what I
Mine was
like.
do a POA right there, and,
Let the neighborhood
Let the
people take care of
neighborhood
it,
take care of
let
their
them
own.
be a part for them, because
cause
people
nobody's
can't
gonna,
go down there and park and use it.
nobody in my neighborhood's gonna go drive all the way over there, but I'm gonna expect to pay for this area. Kind of,
And one other thing, I can't really see it here, but at the very point, the top point, that is actually the mailbox for the entire community. So this, they don't have mailboxes at their house, and so I don't know, and I don't think they've sold them, I don't think anyone is there yet. So like, the lots are all still vacant, but, once you get into it, I've lived in a place before that had that. If people are parking in front of where my mailbox is to go to the park,
upset.
I do think you could have that community not happy when you start having, because it looks like 2 parking spots. Because when we went, I went, oh, look, there's already 2 parking spots there. And the developer said, oh, well, that's actually gonna be where the mailboxes are all.
My neighborhood was like that.
Yeah, so those that don't live there yet that don't have a voice in this, may not like the fact that people just come in and driving and parking there, so.
I mean, 'cause you look at this, yes, this as we speak right now with no taxes and et cetera, you're looking at $6,400 bucks roughly. And then later down the road, you gotta look at putting equipment on there for playgrounds.
Probably,
I mean, how much are we roughly looking at that?
that size, $140,000 playground would be really nice there.
I hate to say it, I don't live at this place. But I don't want my taxpaying dollars to go spend $140,000 on this small, my personal opinion.
I'd actually rather something on, that's not here.
Right, that I know
that-
people are using all the time
Yeah.
and brings money into the city. I think this is gonna bring,
I will say, I've heard that sentiment or if you guys and other folks, that we wanna take care of what we have before. That's a smart stance, so, that's what you're saying.
I'll tell you too, that you can make the case spending the money out here. And it doesn't take a whole lot for a whole lot of people to notice.
Right.
There's just some little things that need to be done. Kind of like, you know, it's stuff that people experience every time they come out here, whether it's a wet area there, you know, and then we've got playground, you know, there in the softball section out here. Again, I'm sorry, I'm kind of getting off what you're doing. Over here, down here, in the softball area, there's that area that's in between all the fields. What I'd like to see us do is if we've got that kind of money, and we need to put a playground in there.
That's what I say. I'd rather invest, put a playground out here for the kids to go in between than spend it on land that I know the whole city isn't gonna use.
I appreciate the offer from the developer, I really do. I just think that, it's the cost of maintaining it. Could we use those resources more to the benefit of more people? That's, and I don't know what the answer is, but I'm just.
I think that's definitely what we can take to, city council with. However you want to, recommend not accepting this offer.
I think we gotta take a vote.
Yeah, I'm just making sure I know.
And it is their decision, or?
We take a recommendation to the.
Their decision.
Right. We just talking about what we would benefit from having it, whatever.
We all recommend.
Right.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. So you
I mean, what I'm
recommend
saying is,
council,
they make the decision as to whether the property's gonna
Correct.
be used or not.
Correct.
Right.
Well, let me ask this question, do we have to make a recommendation?
you do not.
Because I know that one of the, is it the DRC? Isn't that the group that makes planning recommendations? Sometimes they don't have a position. So again, like I said, I really do appreciate the offer. And, but I don't know that, I still feel that strongly one way or the other. I guess I have to go one way or the other, and it requires, you know, some money to be spent. I'd rather see that money. And that's not saying that money spent out there couldn't be, the same money couldn't be spent here. I'm not making that. But, it's just one of those things, I just don't know that we have, you know, an option is nothing. I don't know how the rest of it deal with that, but.
I mean, no matter what, it's getting taken to the council.
Right.
I don't have hard to, I mean, that's kind of not, I mean, I think, you know, I hate to, like I said, I hate to turn down free property, but nothing's free, and so there's gonna be a cost to take care of it, and you don't wanna tell a neighborhood that you're gonna do this and then not really do anything with it.
Not have the money to, we
Right.
really don't have it.
Right.
We don't have money to do things, we
So-
need to spend our money that we don't have.
So, if there was a recommendation, then the recommendation would also need to take the property, then the recommendation would also need to include pending council support to fund what's being taken in. I mean, I think that would have to be part of the recommendation, the council is going to,
Yeah,
if
just
the council is going to a lot, it's going to appropriate the money.
Yeah.
as far as budgeting goes, when we throw out the $4,000 per side and the $400 for the bond and the $2,000 to mow it, that is not currently in the budget. That was not budgeted for,
So I think if we're making the recommendation to take it, then I think that has to also be.
And the manpower to
have that
mow it and, I mean, all that.
well, that's, the
Oh,
$2,000, yeah, the $2,000 is total for,
Okay.
we would not do that in-house, we would contract that out.
Okay, okay.
That's too far, yeah, that's too far to haul out,
Okay.
Yeah.
we lose more money.
So,
A question that comes to my mind, if I'm understanding things right, to make this of some benefit, practical use to the people flying it, it's gonna require us to make an investment. I think I heard you say over $100,000.
140 roughly.
Other than
That's
just
if
a
you
nice
get
green.
playground equipment. that
But
kind
I'm
of thing.
saying that for it to benefit people with Bryant, for them to see anything except an actually, that's hard.
Know how it would benefit.
I don't know.
It
They
would
don't have
benefit
that,
that
they don't
neighborhood.
have that now.
Right.
Yeah.
But to make it of any practical use,
Right,
require a whole lot more than.
correct.
Because you do have to keep it up to the OSHA standards, to regulate that. I mean, you would have to, so.
And that would be, I mean,
Not
there's,
any playground equipment.
yeah, I mean, as you guys know, we've worked through the master plan, this would fall way, way, way down the list of priorities, there's a whole
It
lot of
could be
other.
10 years before anything was done to the property.
Oh, yeah, I would, yeah.
And if I design a neighborhood, I'm gonna want somebody to go ahead and do something with
do
it.
it now.
Right.
Yeah, it would, we're talking way down the road for any development of a playground. That's why we were thinking sod it, make it look nice, and mow. So those are all great.
So are y'all saying don't make a recommendation to the council of, that the Parks Committee, determine we're not this isn't a feasible option at the time?
If it was up to me, I would say
Different.
to the council, we don't have a recommendation on this. That's a question.
So, I mean, so if it's voted upon and approved, being that, I'm gonna use the term burden, then I thought I was part of the answer.
Right, that's why,
To it, right? I know, that's why, that's why I'm catching what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's why I'm catching what you're saying.
yeah, I kinda think that
So,
the,
make the recommendation, and the reason, make the recommendation to not, if you want to make a recommendation, to not accept it at this time, based upon the lack of funds to,
like a funds and concerns, yeah.
it's not currently, but.
I mean, cause this $4 grand for sod right here, that could put heat in every single one of these restaurants, and the city's already ahead by not having to winterize it, unwinterize it. And the employees can all be doing something else instead of.
There is no option to leave it.
Yeah, cause I can tell you, you go off and this whole neighborhood gets full, people in this door right here wanting something done to this park.
So is that the recommendation? Is that what you're saying?
I personally, you don't have to listen to me, but I personally think that,
Y'all make a motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you wanna make a motion?
Do you want to make a motion to make a recommendation, or make a motion to not make a recommendation?
they make a motion to make a recommendation.
Okay, so what's your recommendation?
The count, that the commission, Parks Commission does not want to move forward with this. Due to lack of funds and,
Not currently in the budget.
yeah, not currently in the budget. Use that money somewhere else.
If that money was available.
Right.
Prefer to use it other ways. Is that recommendation?
Do we have a second?
Opposite.
I think.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Alright,
I'm sorry.
We got, the aye or nay. Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
And that is for sure, it's definitely on the agenda for the council. Okay.
That's for this month?
Yeah, put it on
Okay.
this month.
But at least they have our opinion, and if they want to do.
right, they can do whatever they want to do, but I feel like,
No, I
Yeah.
And I
we all support it.
yeah, I really,
haven't heard what you said.
I know.
I really appreciate the discussion because it helps me in these folks come forward. I can say, hey,
Here's why.
here's what I'm hearing from the Parks Committee. and we're not setting a precedent, but we are leaning in a direction, which I think is.
You gotta have the funds.
Exactly, and we're looking to invest in what we already have, and
We have other.
making
businesses
sure our
we
money's serving
have all the residents in front, yeah,
more people
more people, yeah.
than what's currently going on in the system. So great, thank you for that. Rebecca, our grant coordinator, thank you for being here. Turn it over to you to talk about the National Fitness Campaign grant.
So this grant, is an invitation-only grant, so they have contacted us. This, what it is an outside fitness court. So I'll just kind of have it around. Outside fitness court, the first picture on the top there is just the court, and then the picture on the bottom also has the studio attached to it. It is all outside. The purpose is that it's free to everybody. They have an app that is associated with it that's free, so you can download the app and it'll walk you through how to use every single piece of equipment. Most of the equipment is not movable. Nobody can take it and steal it or anything like that. The grant is for $30,000 to $50,000 for this. We are thinking if we wanted to go for it, then do the fitness court and the studio, because we do have a lot of families that work out together, and this would also give them an area to. Of course, the one with the studio is a little bit more expensive, but with this, we can also stack other grants. So I have been looking for those, and then get sponsorships, and those sponsorship logos will actually be on the so, depends on if we want to do artwork, if we do a concrete class in-house, and then it's so if we're looking at the total project starts around, that would be with no sponsorship. With this grant, it is a non-binding grant, meaning that if we want to move forward with it, and we get down the line and we don't get the sponsorship that we can say, there's no money up front, yeah, there's no fee, there's nothing like that, and they'll just give our spot to someone else, and then we have the option to roll it over to 25 if we wanted to. So really the goal for this is leadership support. If y'all want to move forward with the grant, it looks like we have a really, really good chance of invitation to this grant. They're only offering 5 in Arkansas. The closest one to us right now is 3 minutes, and then all the others.
Where would this be?
Yeah, so, if you, in the master plan, one of the things we talked about was, bills, adding, exercise equipment around the trail, it used to be there. So that was one of the things we were thinking, if we if we looked at doing that at Mills, then it can kind of fit what we were thinking in our master plan, more fitness opportunities at Mills Park. And obviously a way to bring some other funding to that piece. So maybe we adjust the master plan instead of around the trail, there's a centralized location.
There's open space out there right now.
Exactly. And it definitely makes the most sense for a business design.
My other question was like where we had talked at one time about skate park over at Alpha Force. I didn't know if there was some space over there. Because, I mean, you got your walking path,
So that's part of this process, and I don't think there's a motion or anything for this. We have a call set up at the end of the week, and we wanted to bring it, because of some of the funding concerns and things like that, we wanted to bring it and before moving forward at all with this conversation, know if this is something Parks Committee is on board for us to continue to move forward. I think it's very important in this, I mean, but the National Fitness Campaign, they have, if we move forward, they want us to submit multiple sites, and it will be a decision that they will look at and go, this scores highly for the grant. Now, our thought was Mills and Alcoa are really the two I mean, if y'all know our park system, like, I mean,
Right, that's
you
why.
know, so that was really what we were thinking, was submitting those two sites, because even though the skate park is still
Right.
hard to plan, there is a lot of space down there that, I mean, this is the size of a tennis court. So we're not talking one tennis court, I mean, it's not that invasive as far as space-wise, so I think, so our plan was to submit both of those with your blessing, and see, you know, where I feel like Mills is, because they said they would be scoring based on traffic and foot traffic, like, I think Mills is probably gonna score very high. I would expect it once.
Tonight was the first night I've been by the pickleball courts in a while, and there was no one out there. And I was like, man, it was really good cold.
And the wind,
Yeah, wind was big time, so.
But I do think it's one of those deals where this is something we're excited about, we really wanna do.
I mean, I definitely, anytime you're looking at a grant, I think it's definitely good to
Richard, you
go as far as you can and see what you can get.
You get up into it.
I mean, and see what you get, and then if you run into, you know, and if it's non-binding, because I have done grants before where once you set the money, you're on.
Yeah.
Right,
And
yeah.
and we've been there too, and it sounds like from this group, and Rebecca's talked to them much more than I have, but it sounds like they also will come and help with the fundraising and do some different things to try to, like, you have a fairly long window of, okay, you received the grant, now you gotta go get the rest of this money, you know, so, and they'll assist with that. I mean, they want these to go in as well, and I've been meaning to get over by the one at UAMS, and I haven't yet to look at it, but.
What do you
I
actually?
say move forward, just see what you get, I think you just.
Yeah, it wasn't a motive, just to get the pulse of the committee and see if this is something y'all want us to continue to
Pursue.
pursue, yeah.
We're not committing to.
No, there's no.
I don't know why we would.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Hey, can I ask a question? It's not about this, aerobics, or we can go ahead and vote on it, I'll say yeah.
I think we're all.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't require.
I was wondering which model was.
I'm kind of dumbfounded on this, but is there grants for like lights and et cetera, for like life safety?
There are some.
So could we look into a grant to help us get lights out here? For the softball?
On my list.
We are, we've been asking.
I didn't know it was brought up, and they just had you start your.
That was-
That's what I'm
I think
saying.
that was the first thing we asked her to look at.
I will.
I thought that's what you were gonna start talking about when you started the bathroom.
I know, I did too.
Yeah.
I'm not
Maybe
speaking
I'm
for
over
anybody but myself,
Yeah.
and I'm serious about this. I think from a health and safety perspective, that needs to be priority one for
I'll
improving.
be down there tomorrow to help you.
Because that is, here in the next few months, where the time changes, you are driving blind out here.
I mean, Jack, what roughly is it? I know we've had to get a price.
$525.
$525?
Oh, that'll be underground.
Right. And that's lighting up all the way from softball back to the whole thing.
And the installer that I won't use China.
Use what?
Well,
China,
Rebecca was kind enough, when she came on staff, to meet with us and ask us our needs, and that was priority one, to help us with that safety issue. As we something's gonna happen out here, and it's gonna become a priority, for the city council.
And we discussed this, that may be a project that is a street project as much as it is a park project. Didn't we have that discussion?
Yeah, we did have that discussion.
That some money could come out of
not just the park budget.
Right.
That's before my.
I don't
Well,
know the details of that.
this is a city street.
Yeah.
The parking lot, that's a different.
Well, I will tell you, I think if we, to be honest with you, I think if we go from here
Yeah.
down to where it opens up into the parking lot, that will take care of 80% of the safety. I don't think we're talking about necessarily doing the whole thing. If we're gonna do it in pieces, let's start with that.
Is there any lights in this right here, this area? I can't remember.
Well, we need lights all over, but that's just if we have.
We did a few lights several years ago, but not many.
Yeah, a couple of the scoreboards have some lights that come off of them.
We see street lighting, but,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't see anybody in this stretch, I can tell you.
Somebody walking across the station,
Oh.
walk right out there,
Scares me to
my
death.
microphone.
So is that like a easy grant to normally a life safety type?
So, when I came on in September,
Hold on, it's February.
yeah, but it
January.
was not grant season, so grant season just started up now. Yeah, so,
But I mean, Amanda was working on that before, I mean, this been priority, we're trying to.
But is it normally pretty easy to tie, for something like that, is it easy to?
I'm playing, and then
I don't know, so I was just throwing it out there. I know that's been the number one thing since I've been on parks for 2 years, is trying to get lights up.
Good.
What you got, Richard? Now you got something else?
No, I'm done.
All right, third thing there, we added to the agenda.
Oh, the election and Sharon. I would like to nominate Richard.
What?
Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
No, look at her, a little wrinkle in the plan.
I don't hear a second.
Are y'all sure I don't roll off?
Why would you roll off?
Because you roll off after, I thought it was 4 years, they said 2 years. But when you you do roll off because they have to, accept you again, the mayor and the city council.
So really, we'd be better off to, so I second Richard. So help you. So I seconded Amanda's
Oh, you second.
recommendation of you as chairman, as chairperson. So that way, we don't have to call any attention.
All opposed?
In favor?
I don't know what all you do in chair, so.
You read what I've been reading. That's what you do.
He's already pushing the agenda, so I mean, it just kind of goes.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's true.
I mean, really,
Yeah, really.
good call.
I have to get up and talk to you.
Congratulations, Richard.
Congratulations, Richard.
The last time this happened, there was a meeting that I missed.
Oh, you were here for this one.
You would've missed the concert before.
You think people are coming to you?
Oh, should've, yeah.
You think people are coming to you before, now they find out you're the chairman, you get all the calls. I'm about to start forwarding my calls. You need to speak to the chairman.
But if that's gonna be the situation, let me thank Amanda for being
Yeah.
Well played, Amanda.
chair when I joined this committee in what, 2000? Seen it through a lot.
You're not rolling off.
But, I mean, you don't, but you never know, I mean, you don't know what they're gonna,
I mean, it could all change.
you know what I'm saying, you don't know what they're
Sure,
gonna do
would you
up
like
there.
We know, man, I thought we got a bear coming.
Am I now chairman?
You were chairman.
I could roll off, then roll back.
This may not even be Brian.
Would entertain a motion that we adjourn.
I second.
Yeah,
All in favor?
All right.